My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 32 years old, live in Boston, and I used to think life was about quiet routines and keeping your distance from things that can burn. I worked in project development for a mid-sized architecture firm, a job that paid the bills and kept me out of trouble. I had my gym membership, my dog, Milo, and a loft with too many windows and too little warmth. But this is the story I've never told anyone. I call it, I gave her a ride home. She gave me a reason to stay. It started on a rainy Tuesday, one of those bitter November evenings where the streets shine with cold reflections and people rush like they're trying to outrun their own loneliness. We had just wrapped a client pitch, one that had gone surprisingly well despite the creative director, Ava Bennett, nearly biting my head off earlier that morning. Ava was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made you forget what you were doing. Not because she tried to, but because she didn't. Sharp, reserved, painfully honest. She had a reputation for brilliance and an allergy to small talk. We were colleagues, nothing more. Until that night, the office had mostly cleared out. I was finishing some edits when I noticed her by the window, coat half-buttoned, staring down at the drenched street below. Long night, I asked, more out of habit than intent. She didn't look at me at first. Then quietly, my car won't start. You want a ride? There was a pause, the kind that feels longer than it really is. Then she nodded. Yeah, that'd be nice. The ride was quiet at first, only the sound of tires on wet asphalt and the occasional swipe of the wipers. She gave directions with that same clipped tone she used in meetings. But her body language was different. Tired, slightly hunched, like she was carrying something invisible and heavy. You okay? I asked. She glanced at me. I'm fine. Just family stuff. It's complicated. I didn't press. Everyone's got shadows. I've got mine too. But when I pulled up outside her apartment, a narrow, red brick building with ivy strangling the sides, she didn't get out immediately. You ever get the feeling, she said softly, like you're living a life that doesn't belong to you? That hit me, harder than I expected. All the time, I admitted. She turned to look at me, really look at me, and for a second I saw someone beneath all that guarded strength. A woman breaking in silence. Thanks for the ride, Ethan. She opened the door, paused, then added, if I asked you for another favor sometime, would you say yes? Depends what it is. She smiled for the first time that night. Good answer. That was the beginning. Over the next few weeks, things changed. She started lingering after meetings. Quick joke here. A shared lunch there. We started texting. Late night calls followed. I learned she had a younger brother, Daniel, who struggled with addiction. A father who walked out when she was 12. A mother who used silence as punishment. And I told her about my ex, Claire, and how I walked away from our engagement after catching her with someone else. About my mom's cancer diagnosis last spring. About how my dad never once said, I'm proud of you. It wasn't romantic at first. It was emotional intimacy, slow and unspoken, like two people building a shelter after the storm. One night, she asked me to come with her to visit Daniel in rehab. I can't do it alone, she said, so I went. And that night, after she cried in my arms outside the center, she kissed me. And everything I thought I knew about love cracked open. But real love isn't all sunsets and stolen kisses. At work, rumors started. People noticed the way we looked at each other. HR gave me the talk. Ava became more distant at the office, colder. But outside, she was real, raw, honest. We started spending weekends together. I met her mom, who barely looked at me, and tried to be the calm in her chaos. Then, one night in late February, Ava called me at 2 a.m. Her voice was shaking. He's gone. Who? Daniel. He left the center. I think he's using again. We searched for him all night. Streets, shelters, old haunts. Around dawn, we found him slumped behind a gas station downtown. He was barely conscious. Ava blamed herself. I should have seen it coming, she whispered. I let my guard down. I thought you made me soft. No, I said, holding her. I just let you breathe. But that's when things started to unravel. She stopped responding to texts during the day. At work, she avoided me completely. One Friday evening, I showed up at her apartment, only to find it half empty. She was moving. Why? I asked, my voice shaking. I need space, time, everything with Daniel. And you, it's too much. I can't do this right now. I was stunned. So you're just leaving? After everything? She looked at me with tears in her eyes. I don't want to ruin you, Ethan. You were the first good thing in a long time. That's why I have to go. And she closed the door. That was a year ago. I still think about her. Sometimes I pass the street where I dropped her off that first night and wonder what would have happened if I'd said no. But I didn't, because somewhere between her silence and my broken pieces, we found something real, even if it didn't last. She gave me a reason to stay, to believe in connection again, to show up, for others, for myself. And though she left, I didn't fall apart this time. I grew, because love, the kind that shakes you, isn't always meant to be forever. Sometimes it's just meant to remind you you're still alive. A few months passed. Spring came slowly that year. The city thawed in hesitant breaths. Gray skies softened. The sun returned in small bursts, and I found myself walking more, thinking less. Ava and I hadn't spoken since she left. She blocked me on everything. No explanation, no warning, just silence. I tried to move on. I threw myself into work, accepted a promotion, started running 5 miles every morning like it could somehow outrun the questions I never got to ask her. But Ava had left fingerprints in places no one else could reach. Then came a message. Not a call, not a text. An envelope slid under my door one evening in late May. No name on it, just a single line handwritten on the front. For when you need the truth more than closure. Inside was a folded letter. Ethan, if you're reading this, I've already failed at staying gone. I owe you more than a silent exit, but I didn't know how to explain what I couldn't face myself. I'm not good at staying. I've built my life on exits, on being the first to disappear before I get left behind. Daniel overdosed again in March. He's alive, but barely. I've been with him every day at a long-term facility upstate. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd drop everything for me, and I couldn't carry your sacrifice too. You weren't the chaos in my life. You were the calm. That terrified me. I didn't know how to be with someone who didn't need saving, who simply stayed. But I remember every second. The rain that first night, your hand in mine outside rehab, the way you looked at me like I wasn't broken. I still love you, but I have to learn how to love myself first. If we ever find our way back, I hope I'm someone worthy of the life you gave me a glimpse of. Ava. I must have read that letter 100 times. Part of me wanted to call her, to drive upstate, to fix it, but I didn't, because for the first time, I realized that love doesn't always mean holding on tight. Sometimes it means letting go and trusting that if it's meant to return, it will. Life kept moving. I reconnected with my sister. I started mentoring interns at the firm. On weekends, I volunteered at a local youth shelter. Places filled with stories no one wanted to hear, until someone stayed long enough to listen. And through it all, I carried Ava's memory, not as an ache, but as a turning point. A moment in time where love entered like a storm, wrecked everything familiar, and left behind the foundations of something deeper. 1 year later, I'm at a cafe downtown. Same place where Ava and I had our first unofficial non-date. I sip my coffee, glance toward the door out of habit, and just when I'm about to leave, I see her, hair shorter, eyes a little softer, and when she sees me, she doesn't hesitate. She walks straight to my table and says, "Hi, hi." I say back, no big moment, no music swelling, just two people, older, changed, still carrying shadows, but maybe a little more ready for light. We don't talk about the past that day, just the coffee, the weather, the latest book we read. And when she stands to go, she looks at me, hope flickering like it once did in the rain. Same cafe next week? I nod. And as I watch her walk out the door, I realize something. Some love stories aren't about finding someone to complete you. They're about finding someone who reminds you you were whole all along. Even if they leave, even if they come back, even if they don't, they give you a reason to stay with yourself, with life, with hope, and sometimes that's more than enough.